Yumichan here with another video, and today's video is going to be a little bit different. I know typically that Tuesday is Digital Art Tuesday. However, we're coming to the end of Mermaid, so what I'm going to do is from the last video, whatever last day was on that video, up until the end of May, I'm going to compile that all into one video, which is going to take some time, but that's okay. It's just going to make my life a little bit easier, and it's going to help me be able to concentrate on other things in the meanwhile. So today's video is going to be things I used to get to where I am with my art. Over the years, I've been asked many times for tutorials and tips on how I got to where I am with my art. I don't completely feel comfortable with giving a tutorial yet because I don't even know how I go about it, and I just sketch and I get it out. So the first thing I'm going to start with is some of the books that I personally use over and over again to help me achieve where I'm at now and to better understand life drawing and anatomy. And then I'm going to talk about 3 YouTubers that over the years have really helped me, and these YouTubers I will often go back to, and probably one extra YouTuber. I gotta find the name of this YouTuber, I'm pulling a blank, just so that you guys can know who I listen to get the extra tip. And then what kind of daily practice I also do to help me keep my skills up. So we're gonna start into the first part of this video, which is the books. I'm gonna switch the view down so that you guys can see what I'm talking about, what books I'm talking about, and then we're gonna switch over to the computer to talk about the YouTubers, as well as then we're gonna jump back into normal and talk about what I do on paper for my practices. So let's jump into it and let's have some fun with this. Alright, so let's get on with what books I use the most over the years to help me get to where I am. I'm going to showcase 3 that I've used for a very long time. I was going to showcase a 4th one, however, I actually don't have it here, and that 4th one is one of Mark Crilly's book. And unfortunately, I don't have it anymore because I handed it down to my little cousin who has started picking up on drawing. So I wanted to make sure that she had some tools to advance and get better. So following that book, and actually before the Mark Crilly book, the first ever drawing book that I ever got, and this was from my grandmother, was called The Complete Book of Drawing, Essential Skills for Every Artist by Barrington Barber. And initially when I first got it, I'm not going to lie, I did not use it as much as I should have. And I say that in a way that at that point I was very, very obsessed with just drawing manga. And so in the very beginning, I mostly learned from YouTube tutorials and just by trying on my own, by looking at other pictures and trying to copy the pictures on paper. And so I was like, oh no, I don't need this. So I never used it. And on and off, and you can see these little tags here, they're really old, but on and off, I would go through the book and I would start reading about stuff to learn, and then eventually I just generally started using it as reference. This book doesn't really give you the option of following a tutorial step by step. It gives you pointers on how a face would look in different angles and stuff like that, and how to shade or how to quickly sketch out a landscape, how to do some trees and some live drawings and stuff like that. So what I used it for is if I needed something specific to learn, like a face or the back or the body, or even just doing some live drawing in here, or hands, I would use this book. So I would just randomly pick a subject for one day and I would sketch something from it. At the very beginning of this book, it gives you the very basics: how to draw a dot, a horizontal line, a vertical line, a diagonal, a circle, a triangle, a square, 5-pointed star, spiral, and how to warm up your hands. And then different type of shading, and then it shows you how to do easy objects. And then the further you go into the book, a little bit more complicated it gets, but it really shows you how to do certain things and how things would line up. And honestly, I love this one in the end. I was able to accomplish a lot, and just by sketching and exaggerating things, I was able to come up with a partial style that I enjoyed. So this was my first book ever to have gotten, and then Mark Curley the second one. Then followed by this one, Drawing with Christopher Hart, Figure It Out, Human Proportions. This came quite a few years later. There's been other books in between, but these are some of the books that I go to very often, so that's why I'm putting them in here. When it comes to Christopher Hart, his books are a hit and a miss for me, but this one was a very big hit. So it really shows you how a chest would expand in different areas, how a hand works. It shows you the bones, where the lungs sit, and it simplifies the shapes so that you can better understand how a face shape would look like for actual human proportions. And from there, I was able to apply these tips and tricks to my own personal art style so that I could make the faces look slightly more realistic and appealing to my followers. And then it helped me understand as well how hips move, how body moves. And I still struggle to this day, so I'll go through this and I'll do some of the tutorials in here just to learn a little bit more. And it really breaks down the body to a way that you can understand a little bit better, which is phenomenal. Like I love this. So it doesn't give you exactly like every single bone structure or muscle structure, but it gives you a way to, you know, where the main bones of where things, where joints would turn and stuff like that, so that you could better understand how the body falls in shapes. And I'm trying to word it the best that I can. And then just kind of really good, easy starting point for it. If you don't want to go too much into anatomy, however, I strongly suggest you do learn anatomy. It is going to make your drawings tenfold better, and it is really, really going to help out. So this was the second book that I went with. The third book, and this one actually came last year, and I have been using it religiously since, because it was one of the books that was suggested for anatomy. I apologize for the nudity, but I'm not gonna block this. So this is Anatomy, A Complete Guide for Artists by Joseph Shepard. I was looking online for different anatomy books that were suggested for artists, and this was one of the ones that came up often. So this entire book breaks down each and every single bone, each and every single muscle, so that you can better learn how they interact with each other, so that you know how to properly draw something from the very, very bottom to the very, very end. So it shows here the bone structure, then the vein and muscle structure on top, and then the flesh. So it's really great to learn so that you know where to put your veins in your drawing, where you want to over exaggerate, under exaggerate, simplify. Really shows you also shading in some areas, which is nice. So I go through this and I will sketch out some of the pieces, and I will physically write down each and every single name, because that's the one of the things is that, for example, pelvis here, it gives you each and every single name of each and every single part of the pelvis, so that you know. So for whatever piece I had chosen for that day to sketch, so for this one, there's 1, 4, 2, 3, 7, 12, 13, 14. I would point out all those sections and write the names of the pieces. And it just made it so that I could better understand the bone structure in the human anatomy, which also greatly helped. And then it really goes down to like when they sketch it out and they show like the shading, you can see where things are falling. And with the AB and stuff like that, it explains how the body is moving so you can better understand. So this was the third book that I really enjoy using. And I know that one of the questions was how I got my manga art there, but this is how you get there. I was being dumb when I was younger, when I didn't want to use any references like this with my art and I thought it was good. It was a stupid rookie mistake on my part, but now like this is how you get there, is learning anatomy to get your art better. Obviously there's other books out there that I have been using to help me out. Like recently I've used some monster books to help me with my manga so I could better understand how to draw my monsters, as well as landscape stuff and stuff like that. But like those are the three biggest ones that I go back to constantly, because anatomy is something that you constantly want to be learning so that you can better yourself. So now we're going to jump into a list of 3 YouTubers that I've used over the years and I either still go to or reference a lot of the time for little things. So we're going to jump to the computer.
Alright, so what we're going to do is go over the YouTubers that I watched religiously when I was younger up to now, that helped me learn what I've learned so far today. And obviously a lot of it is also my own practice and stuff like that, but I just want to show you guys as well some people that I have greatly admired over the years and that have helped me further into my art career. And I personally, I know I don't have a lot of subscribers, but I thought I would do this since it's been asked quite a few years in a row about tutorials and stuff, like I said. So the first person was Mark Curley. I watched his YouTube religiously when I was younger, I think elementary school / high school. That's where I learned a lot of my skills, was from his YouTube channel. And then when he came out with his book, I bought the book and learned from there as well. So Mark Curley has a lot of different types of videos on his YouTube, from speed paints to tutorials and stuff like that. And I religiously watched the tutorial ones for many years. It just helped a lot to get to where I am, and honestly I strongly suggest his stuff if you're just starting out, or even someone who just is not sure how to approach certain things with it. So let's see if I can find one of the first ones that I was watching. Let's see. So right around here, I remember a lot of this stuff here. I was watching, I remember how to, yeah, a lot, like 9 years ago is when I started watching him. I probably earlier than that, some of it's 10 years ago. So I've been watching Mark Curley for a very long time, and he's one of the ones that I continuously went to and still do from occasion to occasion so that I can learn more. Next in line is Proco. Proco's videos is a lot about learning the basics of drawing, and the reason that Proco is in here is because I learned what gesture drawing was from him. And gesture drawing opened up a lot of areas where so that my art was more dynamic. So that really helped out a lot. And he does have a website where you can get tutorials from. And so from Proco, I haven't watched him in a very long time, but from Proco I was able to learn about gesture drawing, like I said, and how the body moves and how to sketch out and pose very quickly. From Proco I found quick poses a couple of years later, and quick poses, you get to select what type that you want for pose: face, hands, animals, landscape, urban, gender, clothing, interval, so how many seconds you have between each, how many you want to draw, and if you want the images to show up upside down. So, and then you click start, and every 60 seconds the image will change, so that you have to do a gesture drawing of the poses, and that's helped me learn about how a body moves a little bit more and where things go because of that. It also, Proco helped me before I went to college for fine arts, because I didn't know what gesture drawing was, and I'm glad that I learned it from here before I went into college, where I would have been learning it there as well. So I strongly suggest Proco if you want to figure out how to draw certain things related to body anatomy and realism and stuff like that. It's strongly suggest Proco. Third in the list is Xabio Arts. Xabio I found by chance, I think a couple of years ago, and it was really funny to me, and that was why I started watching him, and ended up that the tutorials were really helpful. I struggled a lot with hands and feet and holding things and stuff like that, and he really simplified it in the way that I was able to understand, all the while I was having fun watching the tutorials, so it was easy for me to apply what he was telling me into my own personal art to make it better. So he's someone else that I strongly suggest, and he's got a great sense of humor, so I strongly also suggest him for that. A lot of the tutorials are really easy to follow, and they will get you pretty far in your drawing game. And in the last clip I mentioned possibly a fourth YouTuber. I found him. Fourth YouTuber that I watched starting a couple of years back, I think 3 or 4 years back, was Mikey Mega Mega. I stumbled upon his channel while I was doing some scrolling through YouTube, because I used to watch YouTube religiously, just random playlist. So I watched a lot of his digital drawing tutorials, the beginning drawing tutorials, as well as the drawing tutorials for anime manga, which was the one that I watched the most, because it really shows you how to draw different poses, different types of bodies, hands, fingers, and stuff like that, clothes even, so that you can learn how to properly jot down how everything goes. He is one of the reasons that my female anatomy has improved so much over the years, is because I was following his tutorials. So yeah, these are the 4 YouTubers that I watch and look up to the most when it came to my art journey on YouTube, because YouTube is a plethora of amazing tutorials, and if you're self-taught, it's really the best way to go. So I'm going to leave all their links down below to their channels, so that you guys can go find them and like watch and whatever you want to do. We're going to jump back into the recording in person, and yeah, be right back.
Alright, last but not least, what else did I incorporate other than using the books and the videos to help improve myself? And that is practice and experimenting. So practice is daily, if not 3 to 4 times a week. Personally, I prefer daily. It takes a lot of self-discipline, which I have been lacking as of late, but daily practice. So I'm just gonna flip through a couple of pages in here to show you guys some daily practices that I have done. And by daily practice, I mean either loosening your wrist by drawing some characters that you love, or by doing gesture drawing, proportion, sketching, learning 2-point, 1-point perspective, and that kind of jazz. So for here we have loose sketches and stuff like that, and then we have we're gonna skip that page and that one, daily practices. So these came from the books that I mentioned earlier, where I just picked some things and I would try to replicate them to kind of learn where the shading was falling and stuff like that. How a leg sits when it's sitting down, life drawing, how fabric folds, landscapes, faces, different things like that. What else do I have? Different kinds of animals, learning animals, seeing if I was comfortable with it. Obviously I wasn't gesture drawing in general. Gesture drawing, a lot of gesture drawing. And what else have I learned as there's a lot in here, so I apologize. Gesture drawing again, to a 1 point perspective, bones, faces, how lighting hits, where shadows would fall. Things like that I would practice daily. Experimenting is sketching something that I normally would not do. So doing a painting that I didn't think I would do, or like my last video, I think it's my last video, doing stick and poke tattoos, doing body painting, photography, experimenting with new materials. All that stuff helps further your knowledge in your art and what you're comfortable with doing and what you don't like doing and what you're capable of doing. So yeah, that's how I learned. And if I wasn't sure about something, I looked it up on YouTube, or I looked it up on Pinterest. Sometimes there's cool stuff on Pinterest. Those are really the ways that I learn. I learn by observing other people do the stuff, as well as self-study. Another tool that I found helpful when I had it was Skillshare, and it's not sponsored. It's just one of the websites that I genuinely enjoyed. I learned a lot for the business side of my business. So yeah, I'm gonna leave links to the 3 books that I talked about at the beginning. I'm also going to leave links to the YouTubers down below, as well as yeah, all my usual links down there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you found it useful, and I'll see you guys next time. Ciao.
Hello, you are listening to a pre-recorded outro. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure you hit the like and the subscribe button, as well as the bell to be notified, and I'll see you all in the next video. Yumichan, over and out.